County View, Live and Uncut, and I'm your host, your favorite cult of personality, the guy that'll tell you 2 and 2 makes 3, John R. Heinis, and of course talking the latest and greatest in Hudson County news. So there's quite a few things happening on the political spectrum, big surprise there, and we're talking about what's going on with the Hudson County Democratic Organization. So first, one thing is it looks like the feud between State Senator and Union City Mayor Brian Stack and North Bergen Mayor Nick Sacco, which of course has been lingering for the past 2 decades on and off, looks like it's back in the forefront right now. I had a long interview over the phone with Stack, and of course I got a response from Sacco. That was a rare Saturday political story, but once I tell you about it, if you haven't seen it already, you'll understand why this was worth taking a few minutes. So on top of that, we also see Jersey City Mayor Stephen Fulop. Of course, he's a Democrat running for the governor's seat, I should say, in 2025. He has actually rescinded his endorsement of First Lady Tammy Murphy for U.S. Senate and is now going with U.S. Representative Andy Kim. So that is contrary to the rest of the HCDO. So we're going to tell you why that is significant. Of course, I think it speaks for itself to a point. We're also going to talk a little bit about what's going on in Hoboken. Of course, it's always a mess in the Mile Square when it comes to their politics, but in this case, the Hoboken Democratic Committee went against the HCDO and gave endorsements for their mayor, Ravi Bala, and also for Kim. And then the chair resigned, citing some friction with the HCDO, claiming that they're antiquated and dysfunctional. So we're going to talk about all that and a whole lot more right after this word from our sponsors.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net. Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers a quality of life you deserve in one of our many high-rise towers. With amenities such as the on-site Newport Path, light rail, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Kohl's, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams and Acme Supermarket are just outside your front door. A health and fitness center, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. Enjoy the New York skyline from our waterfront and various parks. Manhattan is just one pass stop away, or a quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Looking to visit? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. For more information, visit us at newportnj.com. Make lasting memories to cherish forever. It's incredible. It's you, Newport. Live like you want.
Hudson County View, Live and Uncut, John R. Heinis. So let's talk about this indubitable Hudson County Democratic Organization. So first of all, Stack versus Sacco. So yeah, again, this has happened so many times over the years. Probably the most at the forefront was 2007, so quite a while ago. That's when Stack ran for state senate for the first time, and the HCDO, of course, including Sacco, backed West New York Mayor Sal Vega. Was not close, but it was certainly a very bloody election, and tensions have never really simmered since then. And now they've come to the forefront one more time, and I'm sure it's not the last either. But with that said, as I mentioned, I spoke to Stack, and he came out and gave a strong endorsement for Hudson County Executive Craig Guy. Here's part of what he said. I think Anthony Veneri is an embarrassment. I think he's done nothing to build the party. Contrary, I think he's ripped the party apart. Craig is a guy who will unite the party and bring the party together, particularly in Jersey City. So there's a whole heck of a lot more. But interestingly, I think it was really all pretty interesting, but Stack said that when he ran for chairman in 2018, losing to Amy DeGees. He said that that was a mistake, and if you offered me the chairmanship again today, I wouldn't take it. But, you know, he continued that his goal, and actually this is Veneri concurred with, one of the only things they seem to agree on, is that in the June 4th primary, their top goals are getting First Lady Tammy Murphy elected to U.S. Senate, U.S. Rep. Rob Menendez reelected in the 8th Congressional District, and also for Hudson County surrogate Tilo Rivas of Union City to get reelected as well. Now, when Veneri responded, what he said, in part, is it's unfortunate that Brian Stack is backing a candidate from a town he doesn't represent instead of a candidate from a town he does represent. He continued, the voters won't forget that. I've done everything I can to keep the party together, and he's been the spoiler, and everybody knows it. He didn't think of me as an embarrassment when I was out campaigning for him in North Bergen for his Senate campaign, helping lead the team to victory. I'm happy he's endorsing Craig, who was a really good friend of mine. I just don't know how long their love affair will last. So clearly tension's running high, and this is, a lot of it at least, is about Stack insisting that this YouTuber, Leroy Truth, his real name is Leonard Filipowski, who's been in Union City for about 4 months now. He keeps saying that North Bergen is behind this. And, you know, I had a chance to talk to Sacco, and he said that that's not at all what's happening. So basically, in short, Sacco said, I have never had anything to do with Leroy Truth, and any suggestion to the contrary is a blatant lie. When someone is my enemy, they know they are my enemy because I deal with them directly, not by hiding behind a third party. Now, also important to note that Stack made this claim that Craig guy, Nick Sacco, and himself sat down at the HCDO HQ about 6 months ago, and he made this contention that Sacco admitted to funding people to go into Union City and basically harass him in the past. So on that point, Sacco said, well, we did meet last year and discuss the fact that Brian and I have been on opposite sides of previous elections and worked with opposition candidates. I've never sent anyone into Union City. I never said that I did. It's clear that Mayor Stack is under a great amount of pressure, and it's unfortunate that he is displaying this kind of paranoia. So this goes on back and forth for quite a while. I think it's worth your while if you're a politics fan, and you wouldn't be watching this if you weren't. So I'm going to just now move on to the next thing, and that's with Mayor Fulop in rescinding his endorsement of Tammy Murphy and going with Rep. Andy Kim, who appears to have a lot of momentum, especially with the fact that he's got this lawsuit in federal court against the county lines. Of course, we're the only state in the country that does that, so it looks like the beginning of the end. We're waiting on Judge Karashi to tell us where he's going in this. It looks like we probably won't get anything on that till next week. But as far as the endorsement goes, Fulop said, I was an early supporter of Tammy Murphy for Senate, but it's no secret I've been disappointed with the campaign and how it has been conducted. I've expressed that over the last 2 months repeatedly, both privately and publicly, and at this point it's clear to me that I was wrong in my early support and endorsement of Tammy Murphy for Senate. After watching county conventions, I believe that Andy Kim has proven that he's the better candidate with a clearer message, and he brings a better chance of success in November. So you'll remember, if you will, the first time that Fulop started going off about Tammy Murphy in any way, shape, or form, any criticisms, was right here at Hudson Media Group on this very program on February 7th. And he's pretty much called her out multiple times a week on various things. Most recently, what happened at the Camden County Democratic Convention. That's when Dr. Patricia Campos Medina, who also has been in the studio recently, was not allowed into that convention, and Fulop spoke out against that and said Murphy should have denounced it. Of course, she did. She deferred to the Camden County Democrats. And I guess that was the last straw for Fulop, because ever since then, you know, it only took 2 days for him to flip his endorsement, again, contrary to the HCDO. For the time being, everyone else is sticking with Tammy Murphy. So the last point of HCDO, I guess we could call it dysfunction, at least that's how the former Hoboken Democratic Committee Chair, Rachel Hodes, characterized it. On Sunday evening, the Hoboken Democratic Committee endorsed Kim and Bala for Congress and Senate, respectively. And, you know, not unusual. I mean, that's a very progressive city. Obviously, the mayor is running for Congress, and, you know, Kim is rumored to be bracketed with Bala. So the fact that they won by large pluralities for a relatively small committee, only 48 people voted, not a surprise. The surprise, though, came when Hodes put out this letter indicating why that she was going to be resigning. And she said, I no longer wish to spend my time and effort working to influence an organization so committed to the status quo. At a time when women's rights are eroding across our country, gun deaths are at an all-time high, and climate change is threatening our very existence, I wish to be part of organizations that are inclusive, modern, diverse, and democratic. And again, she called them dysfunctional and antiquated. Veneri, of course, pushed back against that. He said, I'm sorry she feels that way. I wish her luck. As far as the process goes, the HCDO chair always communicates directly with the mayors, many of whom are also the municipal Democratic chairs. And he said, I've never made an endorsement without speaking to all of them, including the Hoboken mayor. So that's what we got on the HCDO. Looks like this is heating up, and we're going to bring that to you as it comes in. But now, speaking of dysfunction, we're going to talk about the Jersey City Board of Education, and we're joined by trustee Natalia Ioffe right after we hear a word from our sponsors.
Good Friend Self-Storage in North Bergen, New Jersey is a fully climate-controlled facility equipped with state-of-the-art security, packing supplies, a Refer a Friend program, and multiple loading docks convenient for commercial use. Located just off of Route 3 at 4301 Tunnelly Avenue, Route 1 and 9. Call 201-867-2444 or visit us on the web today. Good Friend Self-Storage. Let us be your good friend.
Panapinto Properties, Jersey City, shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office spaces and addresses your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment, adjacent to all modes of transportation with on-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. Call 201-521-9000 or visit online at panapintodevelopment.com. Panapinto Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
Hudson County View, live on Uncut. John R. Heinis, as I mentioned a few moments ago, today I'm joined with Jersey City Board of Education trustee Natalia Ioffe, who's also the most recent president in light of last night's action. So how are you?
Hi, John. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming in at a timely moment. So, you know, only 6.5 hours last night, you know, nothing crazy.
As the world turns in Hudson County.
And you guys approved this $1 billion budget with roughly 2% tax increase, and then they voted on the president and vice president again.
Sure.
Still Dijon Morris, and it's still Eunice Parkuch. Or maybe it's now Dijon Morris and now Eunice Parkuch, depending who you ask. But they won the vote last night.
The end result is the same, right?
And so what do you think of the way things went down in this marathon meeting?
Well, you know, if I could just to summarize my feelings, I am first of all relieved that we have crossed a certain Rubicon and now we can all move forward in our path. I think the most important takeaway from me, if we take all the personal issues aside, is that the entire agenda pretty much passed successfully. And that's what people forget, that is actually our job. And the amazing thing is that, you know, the budget was presented in a timely manner. I know there were some hiccups. Those hiccups were discussed, but we discussed it as best as we could, and we passed it with a full understanding of what it is that we're looking at, and we're passing it, and we're showing it to the community as well. That's very important. And the discussions as to, you know, what portion of the funding goes where, the comparison between the charter school portion versus our instructional programs, I thought, and you highlighted that in your coverage of the meeting, which is great. So to me, throughout my campaigns, my board work, funding is one of the most important things of, you know, working on a school board. So I think that was successful, and we managed to pass pretty much all the items that needed to be passed in all the categories. And I don't know if you noticed, but we did finally manage to approve a board council, and it was not the contentious item that I personally was concerned about. So I am content. You know, I am content. We opted for a neutral solution, and that was a team effort. So if you really wrap it up and take the personalities out of it, you know, I find that some people, men perhaps, that if it is absolutely necessary to have a title and a status in order to, you know, support the performance or to do a job, so be it. You know, I think most women are willing to kind of concede to that in order to get the job done overall. So that's the space that I'm at right now.
All right, mostly glass half full there, which is okay.
Sure.
But now, if you recall, Dijon Morris was here last week, and he made this contention that on February 29th, when you called this recess, and then other folks started getting up and leaving, this was a direct violation of Robert's rules, and that's why they kept running the meeting. And I think a lot of people in the community were looking forward to the New Jersey Department of Education in some fashion,
Yeah.
stepping in here, but that hasn't happened. So
Not yet, certainly. And I mean, I for one am also looking forward to just seeing what the feedback will be. I mean, we're all new to this. The situation hasn't happened before. The February 29th transpired as it did. I would really love to hear the Department of Education weigh in on, whether or not it was a violation, what recess, because last night, if you've noticed, in the list of my crimes that was read out to the public, or perceived crimes, bulk of the issues had to do apparently with February 29th, or post February 29th, which was ironic because during that space, I feel that the presidency was contested at best, right? But that is another thing that we will be able to hopefully appeal and look closely at and things like that. So still waiting on the Department of Ed, to answer your question.
So when you call this recess, people are yelling. It sounds like people up on the dais aren't listening. A bunch of you folks decided to get up and leave. So
Yeah.
what led you to do that?
I said it before, perhaps not to your paper, but safety. I mean, and some of it is included in my complaint, but safety was a big issue. There were some discussions around, what issues may arise. There were calls to action on social media, and still are, as to, what might happen if the meeting goes wrong. We did not have board counsel. So, being in that tenuous space, I don't know if you've noticed, but the student was there with us. The student had to be escorted out by the superintendent pretty swiftly as things began to heat up. And I think that just from watching a live footage, like for people who were not in the room, it was difficult to kind of comprehend the tension and, the way that things were going. But I thought that in your coverage of February 29th meeting, you covered it pretty well, like just the sheer number of times that order had to be called and completely not adhered to and things like that. So when you get into that space, what do? You have to put a stop to it. But then, as to the leaving, like I said, I felt I had no choice in the matter because of a culmination of things. But that's another thing that I hope to be able to discuss through either my appeal, or hear from the Department of Education.
Got it. All right, we're not done yet, folks. We're going to be right back, so stick with us.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design studio and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net. Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Hudson County View, live and uncut. John Heinis, still here with Jersey City Board of Education trustee Natalia Ioffe. Now, again, when Dejan was here, not to just regurgitate everything he said, but he said, look, we had police that were active on duty, we had armed security, nobody was throwing chairs, nobody was throwing punches. I'm paraphrasing. It wasn't as crazy as they made it sound like. What do you say to that?
I say that it sounds like someone who felt the crowd was, on his side entirely, which gave him a certain level of comfort, I'm sure.
Okay, easy enough. Now, there was a lot of bickering, of course, last night. I mean, again, 6.5-hour meeting. Granted, there was 90-hour close, but, there was a back and forth at one point between now Vice President Barkuch and I guess now former President Velasquez, and that was about at the time, Assemblyman Mukherjee's involvement with school funding. Of course, now he's the senator, and also Barkuch is an aide to Mukherjee. So, I mean, what did you think of this whole thing being interjected in the middle of
Oh, thank you so much for bringing that up. I do, I mean, and you may have heard me chime in at that time during the conversation. So I forgot who started who started the conversation, but the fact that we were discussing no funding cuts and things like that, and the new Vice President Barkuch, he mentioned, I think he credited the senator to some level with the lack of cuts that currently the Jersey City Public School District is experiencing. And then he proceeded to explain that how the district has never reached out and there was never any communication, to which I responded that that's not factual, because both Mr. Barkuch and myself were in a committee meeting chaired at that time by Gina Verdabello. It was June of 2022. It was the legislative committee. And Raj Mukherjee, at the time assemblyman, was one of our first guests in that committee, specifically to discuss school funding. And he shared a lot of interesting ideas with us at the time, one of which was the payroll tax legislation that could help facilitating the enforcement and things like that. I just thought it was ironic that, you know, at the time he said, well, you never told us, you know, because again, to add to the list of my crimes, clearly that never happened, and clearly because, you know, you never told us, except he was there. And that report, the committee report, is available in public board docs as the June 2022 Legislative Committee report. So, you know, that much is verifiable. And I also think, I mean, it certainly reminds me of a certain event that thankfully, you know, the Hudson County View has helped me publicize at the time, for which I'm grateful, when I was still on parent council. And we went with like a small delegation from our parent council at the time to Trenton to attend the committee on school budgets, basically. Yes, and so our experience was, here we come from Jersey City, and that was 2018. It was end of April 2018, and that was when the cuts were at their worst. That was like the big funding shock to Jersey City Public Schools. Nobody knew what to do. We were facing teacher cuts, all kinds of things. And when we came into that committee meeting, all the senators, assembly people that were representing their respective districts and advocating for them, who had empty chairs but Jersey City? And one of those chairs were supposed to be Raj Mukherjee, which I stated in my letter at the time. And this is not to cast, you know, stones at Mr. Mukherjee by any means, but the bottom line is that this conversation and these kind of challenges to involvement have been going on. So this isn't new. And I think this goes to show that we all share in this responsibility, and, you know, pointing fingers, as perhaps I'm being viewed as, is really not helpful. How are we going to help each other now? What is each of us going to do now? I'm not sure what Mr. Barkuch is planning to do in his role as congressional aide, as he's clearly very proud of.
State Senate aide, yeah.
State Senate aide. So that's clearly a very significant turn, you know, for him. So let's hope that he will use that role, because, you know, seems to be his intention, to continue supporting and advocating for Jersey City Public Schools, because that is ultimately the role of a board member, whatever the title is. We are supposed to market our district on every level.
Got it. All right, so two things. I mean, not much time, but so about Dejan, again, not to make it you versus him, but so two things. One, he claimed the ethics complaint was wholly political, and the explanation he gave was that two electeds that he would not name threatened him prior to the complaint being filed. And then on top of that, he said that the president had to be removed because she was just carrying water for the superintendent and there were no checks and balances. So what do you think on those points?
I think I'm happy to be able to, on the record, state that in every, although it is obviously important to hold the superintendent accountable, but in every manual from the New Jersey School Board Association that you will see, or every training, governance training that a school board member will receive, it is essential to have a positive collaborative relationship with the superintendent for board members, but especially for school board presidents. So I do hope that as he is growing as a school board member and now as a school board president, he will realize that. I believe that there has been a misconception perpetuated, you know, specifically around our school system, that there has to be an animosity, almost to a point that it has to be manufactured to the satisfaction of not the community, but special interest groups, that the superintendent must always be under fire, always has to be in a hot seat, because that is the only proof that he or she are being held accountable. That doesn't have to be that way. That is not a validation of a productive work. I think that, as many people have said since February 29th, it is important to keep all the issues behind the scenes, and outwardly, it has to be very collaborative, positive process. That is what I hope that the new leadership can now do.
And his assertions leading to this ethics complaint?
Well, it's still ongoing, so stay tuned.
Okay, fair enough. Natalia, thanks so much.
Thank you, John. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in. We got one more segment. We'll be right back.
Good Friend Self-Storage in North Bergen, New Jersey is a fully climate-controlled facility equipped with state-of-the-art security, packing supplies, a Refer a Friend program, and multiple loading docks convenient for commercial use. Located just off of Route 3 at 4301 Tunnelly Avenue, Route 1 and 9. Call 201-867-2444 or visit us on the web today. Good Friend Self-Storage. Let us be your good friend.
Panapinto Properties, Jersey City, shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office spaces and addresses your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment, adjacent to all modes of transportation with on-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. Call 201-521-9000 or visit online at panapintodevelopment.com. Panapinto Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers a quality of life you deserve in one of our many high-rise towers. With amenities such as the on-site Newport Path, light rail, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Kohl's, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams and Acme Supermarket are just outside your front door. A health and fitness center, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. Enjoy the New York skyline from our waterfront and various parks. Manhattan is just one pass stop away, or a quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Looking to visit? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. For more information, visit us at newportnj.com. Make lasting memories to cherish forever. It's incredible. It's you, Newport. Live like you want.
Hudson County View, live and uncut. John Heinis. So a few more for you. Let's go back to the Mile Square City and some more fun political shenanigans, if you will. Now, former Hoboken Mayor Dawn Zimmer, she was the mayor from 2009 to 2017, and she actually endorsed then Councilman at Large Ravi Bala as her successor. But if you guys that have been following me know, in the past, say November, December, January, 5 months or so, she's really taken a turn and has been going hard against Bala, largely over what she believes to be a stalled rebuild by design project. That's a nearly $300 million flood resiliency project for Jersey City, Hoboken, and Weehawken, and it's in conjunction with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, as well as the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. Now, we've come to find that on March 6th, the Hoboken Business Administrator Jason Freeman did an Open Public Records Act request into Zimmer and her husband Stan Grossbart's communications with all 9 city council members, and that got Zimmer fit to be tied, I think is a fair phrase to use here. So she put out a statement and proactively released to me all those emails and text messages. So here's what she had to say, and she was quite direct. Jason Freeman, Hoboken's business administrator, disingenuously claiming to be acting in his personal capacity rather than on behalf of his boss, Mayor Bala, misused the Oprah process to gain access to my and my husband's private communications with Hoboken City Council members about Rebuild by Design. Oprah is meant to be a tool for use by the public to ensure government transparency and accountability. Mr. Freeman is twisting it into a tool to reduce transparency and avoid accountability. And there's a whole lot more, and I mean, to basically give you the whole backstory of how we ended up here. And, you know, I talked about a few of the emails and some text messages, the vast majority of which were pretty boring, but I'll just quickly tell you what Freeman had to say in response. Basically, he said that he has a lot of respect for Mayor Zimmer. He says, I have always respected Mayor Zimmer for her tenure as the mayor of Hoboken and specifically for her fierce advocacy of Rebuild by Design. There was never an intent to intimidate in actions I took in my personal capacity as a resident of Hoboken. If that was the feeling that came across, I apologize. So clearly more to come here. And also on the same day, just a few hours later, Bala did his 5th State of the City address that was at the Mile Square Theater. And there's a whole lot there, but a lot of it was about accountability and sustainability. So in short, he set out everything from the acquisition of the Union Dry Dock site to the continued success of Vision Zero, winning the Monarch battle to preserve our uptown waterfront, and the grand opening of the cutting-edge Resilient City Park. Together, we have made tremendous strides, cementing Hoboken as the best city in New Jersey. Not just the best city in New Jersey, but also the best small city in America. So, not anything that would probably shock you there, but that's a relatively new story from late last night. 2 quick transit stories. Hudson County commissioners unanimously voted to oppose the proposed NJ Transit fare hikes. Of course, we know that's a 15% proposed hike with their budget, and that would be 3% on top of that in the subsequent years in perpetuity. So no surprise that the commissioners are not for that. But finally, State Senators Angela McKnight and Teresa Ruiz have a bill that cleared the Senate the other day, and this would require a public process, both a notice and a public hearing, for private bus service changes clearing. That will be required, of course, in light of A&C Bus in Jersey City closing and NJ Transit taking over some of the routes. So they want to make sure that next time, if something like that happens across the state, that the public is well informed well in advance. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for watching Hudson Media Group.